Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to coaching. Congratulations to all of you who have showered and exercised and studied this morning already. Congratulations, you big achievers. All right, let's go to page 24 of the manual. I'm going to share screen and we're just going to jump right into this. And let's go back just a hair to page 24. Give you a couple of tips here. So yeah, make sure that you can, okay. So what's our sharpen the saw this morning? Well, we're kind of, we're transitioning away from our kind of the big vision and goals and all that. And we're going to get into some of the principles. And I posed the question this morning is what's the difference in belief and action? What's the difference in an idea and the know-how to bring this idea to life? And have you ever believed something, but you're not obedient to the belief? Okay. So that's kind of what the critical thinking questions were for today. And to get a running start at all that, I didn't want to leave some of these pages just kind of untalked about. Make sure that you have an idea of what your revenue is per transaction, and you can speak backwards to revenue goal and know how many transactions to hit the revenue goal. And just, my flavor, I hope Brookshire's flavor about all of this is, we measure things because they matter, but people are not numbers and revenue is not my only goal, right? It's just one way to track my commitment to the industry, my commitment to my client, my heartfelt, worry, concern, and connection to my relationship with my client, but it's certainly not, my sole driver, right? Okay. So just make sure that you have got that exercise down. I did on the next page on 25, I put together a list of some things that might be just good, focus points for the year or for the quarter, for the month. They're kind of, resolution style ideas. So just something to think about. You can browse through that and pick one or two that you think could be a focus. Okay. The genius grid on the next page, if you want to turn the page, is really an analyst's look at how we spend our time. Everyone remember the 80-20 rule, and it's not that 20% do 80% of the business. It's really not that. It's that 20% or 20% of our effort, okay, gets 80% of our results. Okay. So I would encourage you to, this is kind of more self-study, is to understand where you get the most return for your time and understand that. And this is where we got this. So review these squares. And my own personal take on this is again, to kind of look, the answers to everyone's question on what's best for you is going to change as it be unique as the person asking the question. So I don't pretend to say that, like high achievers should not just be focused on, revenue, income, and things like that. I think there's just more to life. There's more to happiness. There's more to fulfillment than, like my bank account. Okay. So where your, good, better, best analysis comes from and where you get the most out of time, can be a different answer to the same question every day. Okay. For example, the best thing you could do today might just be telling someone in your family that you love them and that you're proud of them, and nothing else through the rest of the day will be more important than that. So how do we put a number to that? How do we put a revenue to that? Well, we don't, right? So that's what I mean. Okay. The other thing good CEOs know is just kind of their history and tracking. Again, for the same reasons, because it matters to us. So we track it. That's why we measure it. Okay. So you measure what matters. And that's the same little exercise there. Okay. So we know our numbers. We know our history of where things come from. Our days on market and price. Oh my gosh, it's never been better, right? We get full price or then some, a higher percentage. Our days on the market are very, very short. Our percentage of list price, very, very high. But if you ever get challenged from, say, a discount model broker who says, I can save you money by lowering your commission, you need to know these numbers. Okay. And if you don't have a lot yourself, if you're a newer agent, then just grab the office numbers and compare that to the average MLS. Okay, so that's the exercise. More homework there. Okay. Make a note on this page. There's a warning about your production numbers. Don't make the mistake of making your presentation all about you and how amazing you are, right? So your number should be a very small piece of the presentation, okay? Not not, hey, look how incredible I am. I think there's a way and a tone to inject numbers that are important without it sounding arrogant and, self-centered. So remember, we're very approachable, right? We're real at Berkshire Hathaway. We're family too, we're dads, moms, brothers, sisters, grandparents, neighbors. We have children, kids, grandchildren. So we're approachable, right? So numbers can have a cold way of ruining all that. So don't let that be you, right? Okay. All right. Let's okay, now let me come off a share screen for a second, but and ask you a couple questions. Okay. Well, I hope you guys are doing all right. And it's good to see those of you who have showered, your video on. Jill Stringham, look, everyone. She's got her video on. Yeah, round of applause. Nice job. Nice job. Mike, don't wreck. Mike's trying to tell us he's showered, but he's in travel mode. Okay. Well, here are the questions I had. Let's start off. With the first one. How did I ask it? What's the difference in belief and action? Is that my first question in my email?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Grace.
You're welcome.
So what I mean here is that have you ever known something and really believed it? You maybe even teach your kids. If you teach your kids, you probably believe it, but then don't follow whatever that is. Let's see. What would we tell our kids that's good for them, but it's not quite translating to us? What might we say? Don't eat too late.
Don't go out with bad companions.
Don't, but then you turn around and do that, huh, Grace?
Of course.
Okay.
Go to bed at a reasonable hour.
Yeah. Early to bed, early to rise, and yet we're late to bed and late to arise. Okay, so there is a difference. Well, how does that translate to say real estate business? I mean, like, what would you tell someone who's new to the business if they said, "Hey, what's the secret to all this?" And then you just, you roll it all out, right? And then why is there this gap between, knowing something and doing something, even when you have a strong belief about the thing? Like, I probably shouldn't eat 5 maple bars. I know you're like, Will, you've done that? Yeah, I've done that because they're from Seaside Donuts, and Steve, they were warm. And the first one was like, well, that's just an appetizer. I mean, come on. The third one, I was like, oh man, that's so good. Anyway, Kevin Cameron got me hooked on those, you guys. Seaside Donuts down on 26 South and State Street, Salt Lake. They make them fresh all day. They've got the best, anyway. I don't know what drug they put in that dough, but it's, wow. Okay, so talk to me about this. Someone unmute and tell me what you've learned about this. Why the gap between what we know, like, what we know what we should do, but we don't always do what we know we should?
Commitment.
What, Grace?
Commitment. Habits.
Okay. So we built up a habit, maybe, huh?
We don't build the habit.
We don't build the habit. Okay.
I'll expand on that, Grace.
Okay.
I think sometimes we don't build the habit because we've tried to bite the whole thing off in one gigantic bite. We don't.
Okay.
That's true.
So the marathon's 26 miles. I want to run it all right now. I want 20 million of volume production. I try to do it all in a month or a week or a day. And so it doesn't happen. So it saps my drive. I want to lose weight. I'm committed for 1 day, 2 days, maybe 3. I don't lose weight. I actually gain weight. That's called water, by the way. And then you're depressed and down on yourself, and you just go, okay, right? All right, what else? So I'm reading.
You don't get that instant gratification, so you stop.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you're not seeing the result right away. Okay. So but I guess, and I agree with that. I mean, all these are good. All right. Before I tie it all together, give me some more. Lack of passion, Julie. I see that. Need to address that. Yeah. I think we probably should. I should probably get a therapist for that. Atomic Habits is an amazing book that addresses. Okay, good. So John seconds that. Okay. Kristen says putting too much pressure on myself leads to procrastination. Okay. All right. What else, you guys? What's the difference in knowing something and believing it? I mean, you really do. You're not arguing with it. It's true to you. Okay. But somehow it doesn't get into what we do every day, like our daily disciplines. What's the difference in those two? Why does that happen?
It's the have to.
So it no longer feels like a choice, Rachel?
Yeah, for me, I've got to, make it so that that's what I got to do. I have to. And then it's just like, it's just a choice, and you don't make it,
Okay. I'm going to write that. I like that. It no longer feels okay. There's answers to a lot of this. Well, I don't have all the answers, you guys, but I've got a lot of good ideas for you on how we can do this. But I like that. It feels like I have to. Okay, what else? Anybody else?
Too heavy of an expectation on the results rather than using those results to help you goal set, but then ignoring those and finding a way to enjoy the process.
You just hit on one of the answers, so I can't help myself, but enjoying the process is going to be one of the pillars to the answer to all of this. In other words, we're not really in love with the finish line as much as you would think. We're in love with the daily things that we do, and we take pride in that, and we take our eye off finish line and we start thinking about the step in front of me, the 1 step, the 2 steps, the next telephone pole, 3 meaningful contacts turns into 5 meaningful contacts. I'm not thinking about closings, commissions, listings and buyer broker agreements. I'm thinking about relationship. And now I have something that is measurable and can refill the reservoir. And I find a love and a joy in that. Like instead of saying I want to be healthy, I just love running. You see the difference? Like I've learned to love to run. So I learned to love to find new relationships. By the way, we no longer say prospecting at Berkshire Hathaway. Okay. We don't prospect anymore. Prospecting is an old idea that I went to go find something for me that would make me wealthy. Right? It comes from gold miners, right? Taking a claim. They're going to go prospecting for something. We don't do that. We got to serve people, right? And we find the joy and the love in that. And that's the first big tip of today, is that we have to trust process and love the process. Find a way to love what you have to do. And it's littered in the manual already. I've got a couple little things on this. I think my image is there's my arm. It's got a picture of my arm with a needle going into it. Okay. And I'm joking around with the nurse because look, I need to get my blood tested to check my cholesterol because I want to be a healthy person. And I'm trying to find a way to love and like what I have to do. Look, I don't always like egg whites. Matter of fact, if you like regular eggs and then you go to egg whites, you're going to go, ugh, they don't feel the same. Okay. And you might just be disgusted. But over time, I prefer egg whites, right? And I hated running but in time, I love to run. And I hated the bass guitar because it's not an instrument that you sing and play to, right? So, but now I love the bass guitar is my favorite instrument, right? And when I was a little kid, I hated going to church and playing the piano. Both of those, despised them, hated going to church. And now if I miss church, I don't feel good. I have to admit, like I ate a bad meal somehow, like my soul is lacking something. And now I'm like, I like to go to church. Like, what's wrong with me? I like to run. I like the bass guitar, play the piano. What? And egg whites. Okay. So something in here is the secret, right? And when we find a love and a joy for the joy of something that we like, have to do, and we need to do, and we find the love in it. Okay. And I see fear of rejection, Brooke. I think that's, somewhere in there, that's like a story we tell ourselves that, there's this, nightmare outcome, whatever that it is. Dawn's saying just lazy. And I think that that's kind of a bad habit. And look, the pandemic has created some, bad habits, right? That we could just undo, right? And I hope to remind you that they're just as easy to undo as they are to start. Okay, you just begin. Okay, and we'll talk about that as some of these answers. So, and Lena's saying to add to Brooke, also fear of success. Yeah, I think somehow everyone kind of has an idea of what they're worth, and then when they hit it, they stop. And now what? I've got a $10 million buyer. I got a $10 million, seller. Well, now what? And I'm afraid of that. And so I kind of self-sabotage by what I do or don't do. And I think that's very true too, Lena. I appreciate all the input. Let's see, and Britt's saying, I think learning to love the process means that we let ourselves design a process that meets us where we're going to push and just enough baby steps. Yep. Yeah, I mean, look, on one hand, let's not be so hard on ourselves, because like if I were having an interview with you and I said, let's talk all this out, it's easy to kind of tell what side of this we're on. At the same time, we shouldn't be mediocre. I mean, what do you want to just be average? You never want to push yourself. You don't want to get uncomfortable, right? We can't do that either. So, goals should be inspiring. And if they're not inspiring and they feel heavy, then we're going about it wrong, right? So we need to rewrite the goal and then get back into the process and love the process. I go to bed almost every night and excited for the next day, and can't wait to get going. And, but it's usually because there's someone I can help. And that excites me. And maybe it's a mindset training and a habit that I've trained over, you guys, my better half is look how, come here. Sorry, honey. If you interrupt coaching, you have to become part of coaching. Look, this is my beautiful wife. This is Tammy.
So sorry. Hi, guys.
Isn't she so cute?
Please stop.
Hold on. I need to be a husband for 1 second. We're good. Yeah, you're good. Okay. See ya. Love you.
Sorry, y'all.
She's saying sorry. That's the center of my universe right there. Okay, since she interrupted, I'll tell you just a quick, little love story. So I met her on my mission. No, that doesn't mean we were dating on our mission. I know everyone's like, what? You met her on your mission? She lived in a little town called Holbrook, Arizona. You guys know where Holbrook, Arizona is? You do? No? Okay. Well, Holbrook, if you ever seen the movie Cars, Disney Cars, seen that? Okay. The story about Cars is the story about the town Holbrook, because this freeway came in and went around the town Holbrook in northern Arizona. And her dad was a stake president there, and not to get all Mormon-esque, that's not my point. But for Valentine's Day, she found this place that took a picture of a map. So it had Holbrook and it had all these like little landmarks, just like you were taking Google and make a picture of Google in full color. And then it says Holbrook, Arizona. It says Will and Tammy, where it all began. and at the bottom of it. And it's the cutest thing. And yeah, it brought tears to my eyes. I'm like, it's so true, because in my life, I can tell you guys, for me, I had to get to this town called Holbrook, Arizona. I did not know this before, of course. And it was really, really, really hard to get there. I'll just leave it at that. It was really hard. Hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It wrecked me. And I don't need to get into all the reasons, but just trust me, it was so hard. And I got there, and then I got the reward. You know, she made my life. And we've been married for 31 years. Last year, she bought me a brand new C8 Corvette. No way. Yes, Britt, it's true. Went to for our anniversary, 30th anniversary, went to the dealership, was oblivious, oblivious to what was going on. She tricked me to go look at a car, and everyone was in on it. The video cameras are there, the family's there, and it has a bow on it, and it says, happy 30th anniversary. And oh my gosh. Anyway, she has made my life. I just love that woman. And anyway, so sorry about that, you guys, but if she was here, she would be just thumping my arm right now. Anyway, it was kind of a cute thing to do, but the picture of the map and where it all began, like if you have a place where a good, relationship began, it started there. It's kind of a cool way to do it. Anyway, maybe I'll bring that in the office, but okay. So back to topic. Yeah, I do consider myself very, very lucky, you guys. So let's get some idea. Well, I'm gonna share screen for a sec. And thanks for all your input, you guys. And I think it's helpful for all of us, but let's walk through this. I have to tell you that these 4 principles right here were a huge epiphany to me. The difference in hope, belief, action, and results. And I saw in my mind that there was gaps between hope and belief, and there was gaps between belief and action. But first thing to notice is there's no gap between action and result. Now, there's a difference in action and expectation, but there was no difference in action and result. In other words, if I ate well one day, I had the effect of that. One day of exercising or walking, I got the effect of that. One meaningful contact to build a relationship had the effect. It may not have hit your expectation, like you didn't lose 20 pounds because you walked 1 mile. Yeah, sorry about that. And you didn't sell $20 million of real estate in 12 transactions in 1 week of building relationships, right? But that's a difference in expectation and effect. There's still an effect. Okay. So just so we're clear on what these are, hope is in this bucket is dream, wish, vision, idea. They're all very, very much alike. So it's this vision in your head, of what could be or what you want. Then you have like conviction, and you have the things that you believe. And I would also say this is kind of your talk, because see, this is the walk. See the contrast, right? Know-how, this is study. This is what you can actually build belief by know-how. And then the more you do all this, and see there's varying degrees. See, these are all dials. So if I turn up hope, what do I get? If I really had this all the way on max, and if I had belief and faith and conviction all the way up, what would I get? And of course, what would I get if I had my action and all this, right? So here's the answers. If I turn up the intensity of hope, write that in, then I would get what? Belief. And if I turn up the intensity on belief, I get action. So one of the solutions to getting into action is to study and enhance your know-how. Become a master of that thing. That will raise the odds of your action, okay? And I thought this was a big epiphany to me, and I'm going to challenge some of the order here. But if we were going to bridge the gap between just an idea and the know-how of that idea, then what would we do? Okay, and I think we've got this on the next page, 32. Here are some of the ideas with that. We would study. We would research. Okay, we would obtain the know-how and gain the necessary intellect. So we take this idea and we go study and vet it. You know, this can be found books, internet, TED Talks, people. Right? You can go to the internet library and type in, you know, this idea, and you're going to get a plethora of things to consider. And that will start to light your path. And as it does, you're going to start building a conviction about this idea. Okay, so anytime you had an idea and you go, oh, but I'm not sure I could do that, or I can't do that, or that's not me, or that's not who I am, or whatever story we're telling ourselves can jettison the idea or vision. Okay, all right, let's go to the next one. How do we bridge the gap then from things we do know to believe? This was part of the email question. Yeah, there's plethora again, my favorite word. Jorge, I don't think you know plethora. Okay, so how do we go from, we know what we should do, but we're not actually doing it. Okay, so let's go to the next page, and here are the ideas for that. Okay, accountability partner. Ask someone to go to the gym with you. Ask someone else to help you build, say, effective relationship building methods, otherwise known as prospecting, which we don't say anymore. But help, you know, come up with a gym partner. Schedule it, get it on the calendar. This is to get into action. So what's step one? You know, we're going to build a new habit. Everybody says we should have a good habit. Well, what's the first step of building the new habit? Time block. So this is another epiphany. We've talked about leading measures, right? Leading measures right here. Leading measures. Leading measures don't always have to be 5 meaningful contacts, right? You know, we could say meaningful contacts, but then we put 5 to it. But it doesn't always have to be a unit. It can be a time. Okay, so for 30 minutes, I'm going to do this. All right, I've only got 15 minutes, Will. How could I possibly do that? All right, 15 minutes. We're just going to study one thing, 15 minutes, right? I can't remember exactly the quote, but it was something like, if you studied something for 1 hour a day for 10 years, then you would be world renowned in that thing, right? Yep, so there's those daily habits. Okay, next one. Remember the, what's her name? Mel, you guys, is it Gibbons? Am I getting that right? Who does the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Anybody know her? Robbins.
Hey,
Yeah.
Will,
Yeah.
I think it's Mel Robbins.
Yeah. Mel Robbins. Yeah. Mel Robbins does the 5-second rule, she calls it. So what she's trying to tell us all here is don't wait to feel like it. Okay. Because your emotions will let you down often. You're often not going to feel like doing something uncomfortable. So don't wait for that. Get your mind right. Okay. And say, all right, I'm going to count down. And when I get to 0, I'm going to get into action, right? Whatever that thing is. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the basis of her entire philosophy. It's resetting our mind. Don't rely on our emotions because they'll so often let us down. The self-reward, really, will you write right here, this creates short-range goals, creates short-range goals. So metaphorically, this is the aid stations in the marathon. Okay, so we go, well, look, I'm going to run to that banana. I'm going to run to those oranges. I'm going to run to that water. That's the reward. So one of the very first things that you could do to get excited about goals is to calendar your vacation. I know that sounds backwards. I'm going to accomplish a lot of stuff, Will. My first objective of the day, plan my vacation. I know that sounds backwards, but guess what? It creates a short range goal because everything between now and then, you know, you create short range goals. Have you ever noticed that, stop sharing for just a sec. Have you guys ever noticed that you, right before a vacation, you get really busy? It's not like, look at all of us. How many of you had this happen? It's not a coincidence, you guys. You're sprinting because there is a short range goal there. You're trying to get as much done as you can, right? Because you want to what? Enjoy the vacation. So you become very effective with your time. You're employing the Pareto rule, right? 20% of your efforts getting 80% of your results. So right before vacation or rest, you're finding yourself getting your best results. That's not a coincidence. It's much more than that. And we should harness that understanding, right? So, yeah,
Hey, Will.
go ahead, Brett.
Sorry, eating.
Toast looks delicious.
It's so good. Something interesting. So I recently got diagnosed with ADD, had it my whole life. I think the industry tends to attract this personality type. Of course, I know I'm generalizing, and something interesting about ADD personality types is that we really operate on deadline well. And without a deadline, we're just kind of like, ooh, I got all the time in the world and don't do anything. So self-imposed deadlines are really powerful, I think, by and large for real estate agents, I guess, by extension.
I love that. Time is of the essence. If
Mhm.
we took a deadline out of the contract, we wouldn't, I don't know what we would have. Right? What if we had no debt? What if we had no section 24? Well, what if we did that to our lives? No section 24. Then what would we have? That's very well said. By the way, I think people with ADD are amazing. I think I told you guys this before, but my dad, was talking to, he's a physician, right? So my physician father, not my stepdad who passed away, but my physician father said to me when I was little, came home from middle school, and the teacher said in parent teacher conference, all this stuff, and I said, "Hey, Dad, she says I have ADD, and he said, "Son, listen to me, and don't ever apologize for having more energy than anyone else in the room, okay?" And I went, "Huh? I've got more energy than everybody else?" And all of a sudden I just rewired it, right? All of a sudden it became a good thing, and then I just learned to apologize. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well said, Brett. Well said.
You
Good
still
advice.
apologize too much for that, Will. I'm going to zap you every time you say sorry for my energy.
I guess I just kind of feel like every once in a while it's too much,
It's
Too much
Zoom.
to take.
It's just Zoom. You don't have an audience.
Oh man. Yeah, Paige, I've told that before. Yeah, and I'm glad that that's got some traction. Yeah, from then on, I just believe my dad. By the way, have you ever had, raise your hand if mom or dad ever told you something like this? You can do anything you want as long as you set your mind to it. Something like that. Yes? Ever have
Yes.
a parent say you can do anything? I see in you that you could accomplish anything you want as long as you work at it or put your mind to it, whatever that is. Yes?
Yes.
Most of you? Okay. Well, I think there's two miracles. So first one, I think the miracle of love of a parent or a friend that told you that they see something in you that you may not see. I think that's miracle number one. But perhaps the bigger miracle is whether or not you believed it. That's the bigger miracle. Because it's unfortunately true that some people hear that and they immediately say, well, that's not me. Right? And that's sad to think that we would do that to ourselves, that someone who loves us, who sees more in us than we do ourselves, says you can do anything you want, you can accomplish this. And you immediately think, or someone who would think, that's not true, Mom. That's not true, Dad. So I think there's two miracles there. So I guess I just don't want to miss that, that this is why I put this together, is there's a difference in an idea of something. Like I have an idea that I could succeed at something. And then but I don't know I can. And then I go learn that I can, but I still haven't done it. And it just was a huge epiphany to me, these four things. And we should teach everyone we love about these 4 principles. There's a difference in having an idea, having a know-how of something or a belief, and being obedient to the beliefs you have. And there's a difference in result. Now, everybody wants the result, but there's all these other things that come before that, you know? Anyway, I was lucky to have 3 parents, a stepdad who I miss every day, huge hole in my life, my #1 mentor. And I miss him every day. But he told me that, and my mom told me that, and my biological father told me that. So I've been very lucky. And for whatever reason, I thank my maker that I believed them. I don't know where that happens, but I believed them, that they were telling me the truth. And that allows us to go do things and frankly fail and be okay if you fail. You know, it's all right. You know, you trip, you fall, you don't get there first, whatever, you know, you come in third and you're still loved, right? And you're still celebrated. So it pushes you to get a little bit better. Sorry about the emotion, you guys. I raised 4 daughters. What can I say? You know, this is what happens. They rub off on you. So I want to challenge the order of this too. And this was another huge epiphany. Okay. So here we have this idea of something we want. Let's say we don't yet have the know-how or even the belief. We might even say, I can't do that. Okay. So here's where the epiphany came in. What if we just skipped this phase and just went from the idea right into action? What if we didn't wait to believe we could? What if we didn't do that? So that was, I think we can move this order. Matter of fact, anytime you've ever heard anyone say, I can't believe I did it, what they did is they went from idea to action. And then what happened is because they saw the results of the action, see no gap, they started to have the effect of the obedience. And then they started to get what they wanted. It started to become tangible. Like they saw results, they got blessings, or they arrived, whatever it is, all the same thing to describe the same phase. Guess what that did? It built belief. So we can move the order. So in real estate, if you've ever said, like, I'm not tech savvy, first of all, that's a negative affirmation. And bless her heart, Peg Marty saying, dumb loop. I'm like, Peg, that's a negative affirmation, you know? But if you turned it around and said, and just started telling yourself, look, I can be tech savvy, right? And this is where I always say the word yet. And you know, we've talked about this before. You catch yourself in a negative affirmation. Well, I don't like to run yet, right? I don't like going to church yet. I don't like open houses yet. I'm not very good at social media yet, right? I'm not really good with forums and dot loop yet. You're not good yet. Just change it. Make it a positive affirmation. Get back in your head and start telling yourself the other story, right? Start believing mom and dad and friends who love you, right? When they say, yes, you can, right? You can do this. You can learn things you don't know. Even if you don't like them, guess what? You can learn to love egg whites. And guys, I don't just like going to church. And I back up. Look, when I was 17, I'm telling you, Britt, ADD and church don't go well together. No. Okay, I don't like any meetings, okay? And church, it was enough to want me to pull my brains out of my ear holes and wring them out and put them back in. I mean, I'm just telling you, I can't sit still. Okay, so to say that I didn't like church meetings is really an understatement. Okay. And now I'm sitting like I metaphorically, I don't really sit on the front row. That's weird to sit like on the front row. There's always a buffer, you know, but I like to be there and involved. And I could say this truthfully, you know, I enjoy that. And I'm not going because I have to. So it didn't turn into a have to. See, I learned to do it. I learned to like it. Some people might say that Will has, well, I've heard people say, well, you're a good presenter. You know, you're a good teacher. Well, 7th grade, I was asked to give my first, you know, speech. I wrote it out. Happened to be like a pet duck story or something like that, if I remember right. And I mean, the paper's shaking, right? I got cotton mouth. I'm having a physical reaction to something that's emotional. Like I'm not lifting anything, running anything. I'm not wrestling. I was a wrestler in high school. Like I wasn't doing anything physical. This was give a speech in front of your class, shaking, right? Shaking. So I guess what I'm saying is I learned to love it. By the way, when it comes to speaking and teaching and stuff, the preparation, not so fun. But once the research and the organization's done and you want to just present, that's a lot better. You know, church talk, preparing church talks, still not my favorite thing. I guess I have not yet learned to love that. But giving the church talk, once it's prepared, that I find a joy in. You know, I find a joy in that. And I turned nervous to excited. But guess what? It's the same feeling. You know, it's like, well, you know, I was really, really, really excited to have my friend Britton Covey on, you know, I guess I was nervous. What if it didn't go well? What if technology didn't, you know, Wi-Fi, internet, all this, right? We make a big to-do. There were, you know, 270 people on the Zoom, and I was nervous, but then I would say, well, no, I'm not nervous. I'm excited, right? So I rewired all that. Yeah, there's the same kind of, you know, drugs, I guess. So, and there's there's a reality to chemicals to these things too, guys. So we can't be blind to that, right? And by the way, I was speaking to someone yesterday, and I want to say who, but they told me, they kind of admitted that they've been down and didn't use the word depressed, but described that. And I just said simply, have you found a way to just like exercise a little bit, you know, like get outside or go for a walk or, you know, just something. And I know the weather, you know, doesn't always cooperate with that kind of stuff, but have you found a way to get out? And no, and it was you know, it correlated that feeling down correlated to a lack of exercise. So let's not forget that. Okay. So the back to our principles. I think, you know, when you go and do this, you have the same advice when we went from hope to belief as we do with going from hope to action. I'm sorry, from belief to action as we do from hope to action. Same one, right? I suppose I've added these other concepts, you know, the study and research and the attain the know-how. I don't want to be blind to you'd be a lot more effective in your action if you had the intellect to support it, right? This is like working smart, not just working. This is more, you know, like, you know, we're actually moving and not on a treadmill. So we want to do things that make them, you know, that have results that matter. So we do need to learn how to do that and give yourself some space and time to know how to do that. Good advice, Rachel. I'm just reading what you said there. All right, let's, I'm going to stop before we get into the hexagon stuff. That's a kind of a whole nother discussion. Did you find this interesting? Have you ever noticed that those 4 principles are at play? And they really translate into real estate. Like I could say to you, market resource, right? And I'd get, you know, yeah, the plethora of answers, right? I'd say, well, where are you with your database, right? Everyone knows we should have a database. No one argues that. Everyone knows we have a good database, one we can use, right? But, you know, where are we with that? So instead of letting that, you know, push you down and sap your energy, rewrite your story, start, you know, positive affirmations, that change the habits on a daily basis. Get an accountability partner, okay? And schedule your first task, which, by the way, will be our discussion in next coaching. And I got to tell you, we're not having coaching next week. So our next coaching is going to be the 2nd. And Jill, we have scheduled a buyer agent commission discussion that day, right? On the 2nd, is that right?
Yes,
And it's in person in the afternoon,
yes.
right? I'm contemplating taking this same discussion and doing a hybrid with the cloud with coaching. But you guys, I'm really putting together a well-researched. I told Mark O'Brien, I said, let's put together a class as if we were going to the Supreme Court. And our opening statement is this class that supports the value of having a 3% paid buyer agent commission. Okay. So I'm taking that approach. Like I'm going to make an opening statement to the Supreme Court, why it's important for the public and it's better for all of us to have well-funded, well-paid real estate professionals. Now that's just kind of the high arching. Now we're going to get into some data, statistics. I'm going to analyze other industries. I'm really liking how this is coming out, and we're kind of at a tipping point with real estate. And I don't want to, get into that too much, but that's coming, but we will not have coaching next week. The reason, so the core 4 came to my mind when I was sitting I'm just going to say it. I'll just say it. So I served 5 years as a bishop. I had a person come in while I was a bishop who was struggling with drugs. And it was to the point where if he didn't stop, the truth is he's going to kill himself. And he's at rock bottom, right? Just complete rock bottom. And he's talking to me. And first of all, I just had this great love for this man and his courage to kind of come forward and beg for help, need help, raise his hand, just come forward and say, I can't do this, right? And it was not his first try at getting help. I don't want to, like overstate this, but this is the pattern of trying to get like drugs. As you guys know, if you ever known anyone who finds bad drugs, it changes them, it wrecks them. It's probably the hardest thing that we could ever overcome is trying to get rid of a bad drug, right? Well, he's telling me this, but he looks around at the walls in the office and he says, I don't believe any of this. Now he's pointing to pictures of Jesus on the wall. And he says, I don't believe any of this. And it just came out like before I could really watch what I was saying. I said, I don't care that you don't believe it right now. What I care about is that you start doing the things that will protect you, right? And there's resources, like there's free therapy that can be paid for, and there's contributions, and there's budgets. The fact is, and for all of us, guys, isolation to problems is not the answer, right? We have to get unisolated. Yeah, we have a problem, we grab our friends, we grab our broker, we grab neighbors, family, right? Or whatever, clergy, and we reach out for help because there's answers there. And this is where this idea of a belief could come next. It can come after we get obedient to good principles. Then I can build, say, a testimony of something, or a conviction of something can come post obedience. So that I really appreciated that. I wrote it down and I've been trying to figure it out on a higher level ever since. The story here is he did get help. He did get enrolled and he failed again. And then he failed again. And then he went into a more serious rehab facility, which, churches fund. I mean, the Mormon church is the only church that funds this, right? It's one of the great things about churches, right? They're meant to help fund things that, taxes won't do, municipalities can't do, or families can't do. And so he got enrolled and it was paid for. And he is now functioning, and this is an ongoing battle for him, right? I don't want to, like, it's not like he rode off in the sunset, has a happy life, everything's perfect. He battles it every single day. What happened to me in this journey is that I was able to understand the difference in a conviction and a belief and the obedience to good principles. That was an aha for me. And that's why I share it, because I think it is paramount in us coaching ourselves. Like, where am I here? Do I have an idea that I don't yet know about? Do I need to study? Is my conviction mild, but it's not translating into habits daily? So where can I teach myself? And, you know, where's massaging here to get the results that I want that are good? Okay. So that's kind of where all that was born. Anything else to share here, guys? We've got about 5-7 more minutes. Anything else you want to add, or any other takeaways? Lana says, my oldest son is my hero and one of my greatest mentors, 20 years to overcome drugs. And wow, he's a successful business owner now. He's had real estate help me in months to realize he's diligent, hard work. That's a great story. And, you know, we all know, look, if I put a backpack of rocks and lead on you and told you to go about life, I think we would all clearly see it's harder. Right. And all these people that have to go through these things, they're gold medalists to me. And you have to remind them, you know, like, not everyone's path and their cross to bear is the same. And, you know, and kind of, look, guys, real estate can kind of be the same way in a little bit. You know, we all come with different gifts, backgrounds, things like that. So it's frank. I'm getting a rabbit hole here. It's kind of why we're coming up on awards banquets, okay? And I want to make sure the tone is right with awards, because we're not really just celebrating someone's income, right? I mean, there's gold medalists that could be given out. You know, it's the Olympics right now, so I'm using gold medal, but, you know, there's little moments inside of a transaction where the agent should get a standing ovation. Right? But they may have only done one transaction all year. But they were so heartfelt, so committed to the client, did the right thing when it was hard to do. They showed their character and honesty and integrity when it was all tempting not to, and in exchange for money, but they did the right thing. That is what I want a standing ovation for, right? So I just, you know, I guess I'm trying hard to foster some of these more enduring traits that have deeper reservoirs, you know, and be smart and be, you know, like, be empathetic, have some perspective on things that it just seems like we've got it. Our industry has a residue of bad salespeople from like 70s, 80s, and 90s. You know, like, we're still trying to be salespeople to go close a deal. And trying to better that, you know, aware of the process, of course. Do we market things? Of course we do. Do we help people, you know, through, you know, concerns? Of course we do. Do we have a finish line because the clients want to transfer a deed? We call that closing. Of course we do. But we don't do it with a salesperson mentality. We go at the professional service mentality. Anyway, that's my soul. You guys can tell I get worked up about this, right? I'm sorry if it's over the top, but it's my passion, because I have a conviction about it, right? I believe this will be our saving grace. This is why people are attracted to come to Brookshire and be a valuable teammate here, participate in this environment. Our clients want this, you guys. They don't want salespeople. They want a trusted advocate. That's what they want. They don't want to sell, they don't want to be closed, you know? So it's like, I got to rethink overcoming objections, right? Like, I try to bring this like person to this, like heart to overcoming objections, right? So, anything else, guys? What else, thoughts, takeaways, anything else? We're kind of coming near the end here. So anything else you want to add? Thanks for the preaching. Yeah, I'm sorry if it's too preachy. You know, I don't mean to be preachy, but I guess my passion just comes out. So, and thank you for the nice comments, Brett. Anything else, Jill, you want to add or?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, one of the things that I've taught my team, when you're talking about action is, they may not walk in with the hope or belief, in a new listing presentation, but when they do walk in, they try to earn their trust by finding things in common, being likable, maybe getting them to giggle about something or whatever, and immediately starting to work for them. I have a property condition checklist that my team goes through and showing value and walking through and doing things for them. Even if they don't have the listing, they're gaining trust the longer they're there. And so the action or the results from the action gives them the belief that they have the confidence that they need to get what they want without being salesy. They don't come across that way at all. And it's worked really, really well.
That's great. I love that, Jill. I think that's the answer to who we are, you guys. Who we want to be, who we aspire to be, and something you can be proud of. I love when you can look a client in the eye and tell them the truth, and it's not self-serving. Just be truthful. And people can appreciate that. Well, I'll put a bow on it. Thanks for the comments, Jill, and thanks for your friendship and leadership. Guys, I hope that you leave coaching with an enthusiasm, an inspiring attitude to go do something and get into action. That's kind of what this was all about. Don't wait to feel like it. Just go do the things you're supposed to do. Don't wait to believe it. You'll come after. You should have meaningful contacts. You go, well, just go do it. And you'll get better at it. And don't be so hard on yourself. And you know what? If you, my goodness, if no one ever told you that you can do anything you want, I'm here to tell you can do anything you want if you set your mind to it. Okay? I hope you believe that. And it's worth doing because we have people out there who need our help. So go find them, for crying out loud. Don't let someone else find them. Go find them. It's worth it. We're talking about home here for some family, right? We're talking about home, and it's not the walls. They don't need the walls, guys. They don't need the roof. They need what goes on inside the home. That's why they spend the money. That's why they go into debt. That's why they part with savings. And that's why you matter to get that right. So go find someone to help. Okay, I love you all. Geez, I got to do something about these allergies.